Hello everyone, and happy Sunday from Beacon. I firstly want to just pause and thank everybody for the instant outpouring of love and support that you've shown to my wife and I as we embark on this exciting and tremendous new journey of ministry. And I didn't want to waste any time. I thought, what better time than now to begin to pour out our hearts to you and share some of the things that God has impressed upon us in the wake of our launch. I wanted to share with you a revelation that has followed me since nearing the end of last year that I've been sharing with my church, and it comes from Mark chapter 4, only verse 35. It reads, "On the same day when evening had come, he said to them, 'Let us cross over to the other side.'" That's it. So many incredible things happened, and if anyone is going through a storm right now, I want you to listen in very closely to the revelation that God has given me. When Jesus said, "Let us cross over to the other side," he set his disciples up to end up in a terrible situation. I know that sounds a little crazy, but let's think about it. Jesus could see into the future, and he made that very clear through many of his words throughout the Bible. We believe that he was a prophet, and he was so much more than just a prophet. He was the Messiah. So it's difficult for me to accept the fact that he didn't know that as a result of his request to his disciples to go over on the other side, that there would be a storm at sea. Now, you may be familiar with this story. When they launched out into the sea, there was a storm. Jesus was sleeping on the boat. The disciples were asking, like, "Dude, you want us to die? Like, what's happening? Like, we about to die. You need to do something." And he scolded them for not having faith, got up, and he told the storm, "Peace, be still." What am I saying? How many of us feel discouraged or afraid when we end up in storms, when we end up in situations? How many of us feel like we've done something wrong because we ended up in a bad situation? How many of us feel like God is not there for us or even question his very existence because we're going through some of the most difficult times of our lives, especially right now? People not knowing where their next meal is going to come from, watching people here and all over the world suffer as a result of the pandemic, the devastating impacts of hurricanes. We know these stories all too well, and many of us have our own stories that we probably have never even mustered up the courage to share. And sometimes it can feel so isolating, and honestly, you begin to wonder, like, does it even make sense to put your faith and your trust in God? But what I want to say is, at the end of this story, Jesus was able to put his power on display. And so the Spirit began to say to me that it was a setup. Think about it. We were not promised that every day would be easy. That's not what Christianity is about. And if we've sold ourselves on that idea, we have to get rid of it. We were promised that God would keep us, that he would sustain us, that he would be true to his word, and so many other beautiful things. But it does not necessarily guarantee that hard times like the times we see today won't come. I want you to be encouraged and to know that it was a setup. And the setup was for God to put his marvelous power on display. That may not always be easy to understand why he had to do it the way that he did. But when you accept it, you can walk in the fullness of his truth and understand that no matter how difficult it is, that he is always with you and he will make all things work together for your good. I want you to be encouraged. I want you to not give up, because these things are easier said than done. And sometimes even an explanation doesn't give us the comfort that we need when we have to go back into our situations. But I pray that the strength of God and that the peace of God that surpasseth all understanding would be your portion. I pray that you would be able to hold on to the revelation that everything that you go through as you trust God and follow his instruction is a setup to build your faith and to put his glory on display. Listen to me. Do not let go. Keep pressing. Thank you for joining us, and I pray that you will continue to follow us and connect with us. We love you, and have a blessed Sunday.